Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. 97% of Muslims never notice them. They walk past them every day. They swat them, ignore them. Without realizing, these tiny creatures may be delivering a message directly from Allah. Why are these insects visiting you? Why here? Why now? And why in this exact moment of your life? Is it just coincidence? Or is it a sign? In Surah An-Naml, Allah tells us the story of an entire community of ants, aware, intelligent, speaking to each other about danger. This is not a fairy tale. It is a divine reminder that the smallest of Allah's creatures can carry the greatest of wisdom. Cut to real news clip footage, 2023, Indonesia. A woman named Siti, from a quiet village in Java, noticed something strange. For days, an unusual swarm of ants gathered only in her prayer room, not in the kitchen, not near food. They gathered beside her prayer mat. The very next day, she received unexpected news. A financial debt she had been worried about for months was suddenly forgiven by a family member. She said, "I knew Allah was telling me not to be afraid, that provision would come." Most of us would have crushed those ants, swept them away, never thought twice. But what if, in doing so, we crushed a reminder sent by the Creator Himself? Stay with me until the end, because the insects in your home may be carrying a message you can't afford to miss. Have you ever had an insect appear repeatedly in your home and felt it meant something? Share your story in the comments. You might help someone else understand the hidden sign. Before starting this video, don't forget to like this video, because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Share it with your loved ones and leave a comment to tell me what you think. Thank you and good video. Quranic Foundation. Allah does not mention any creature in the Quran without purpose. The smallest ant, the fragile spider, the buzzing bee, all are deliberate signs, carrying layers of meaning for those who reflect. 1. The ant, Surah An-Naml, 27:18. Until, when they came upon the valley of the ants, an ant said, "O ants, enter your dwellings, lest Solomon and his armies crush you while they perceive not." This verse is more than a story. It's a window into the intelligence, order, and communication Allah placed even in His tiniest creations. The ant teaches us wisdom, foresight, and the power of unity. It reminds us that strength lies in community, a warning to Muslims never to be heedless of the dangers that threaten the Ummah. The bee, Surah An-Nahl, 16:68-69. And your Lord inspired to the bee, "Take for yourself among the mountains, houses, and among the trees, and in that which they construct. Then eat from all the fruits, and follow the ways of your Lord laid down for you. There emerges from their bellies a drink, varying in colors, in which there is healing for people." Here, Allah calls the bee inspired. Wahi is sent to it, just as it is sent to prophets, though in a different form. The bee's honey is not just food, it is shifa, a divine medicine. It is a reminder that healing can come from the humblest of sources. 33. The spider. Surah Al-Ankabut, 29:41. The example of those who take protectors other than Allah is like that of the spider who takes a house. And indeed, the weakest of houses is the house of the spider, if they only knew. Here, the spider becomes a metaphor for misplaced reliance. A web may appear intricate, even beautiful, but in reality it is fragile and cannot withstand the storm. Allah warns us, do not anchor your safety in anything other than Him. The Prophet said, if a fly falls into your drink, immerse it fully, then remove it. For one of its wings carries disease and the other carries cure. Bukhari. Even this teaches balance. In Allah's design, nothing is without wisdom. Even the smallest insect has its role in harm and healing. During the catastrophic floods, survivors reported a strange phenomenon: bees swarming near relief tents. To many, it was a sign of coming provision. And indeed, hours later, aid convoys arrived, bringing food and water. Locals whispered, Allah send the bees before the bread. So before you swat that insect away, remember, it might be a messenger from the Creator. It might be a call to reflect, to correct your path, or to prepare for a blessing you cannot yet see. Before you swat that insect away, remember, it might be a messenger from the Creator. Which Quranic insect story inspires you the most? Ant, bee, or spider? Let's talk about why in the comments. Modern, real-life cases. In 2024, Morocco faced one of its most severe droughts in decades. Farmers looked to the sky for months praying for rain, but the clouds would not come. Then, the locusts arrived. At first, people feared it was a sign of devastation. Locusts are often associated with crop destruction, and memories of famine still live in the hearts of the elders. But something unusual happened. Days after the locust swarms appeared, the sky shifted. Dark, heavy clouds rolled in, and rain poured down, filling the earth with life again. Many locals saw it not as a coincidence, but as a reminder of how Allah can turn even what we fear into a blessing. An imam in Marrakesh told his congregation, do not judge the sign before the story is complete. In 2023, in the Turkish city of Bursa, the Yilmaz family began noticing moths gathering in strange symmetrical shapes on their living room wall. No matter how many they removed, they returned every night, forming a crescent shape. 3 days later, the father, who had been unemployed for nearly a year, received an unexpected job offer that would change their financial situation entirely. When asked about it, the mother said, I felt like Allah was sending reassurance into our home. The crescent was like a signature, a reminder that He sees us. These are not ancient stories from far-off lands. They are happening now. Signs don't just belong to the pages of the Qur'an. They are unfolding in real streets, real homes, and perhaps right where you live. In 2022, during relief work in flood-hit Pakistan, aid volunteers noticed bees clustering around food distribution points before supplies even arrived. For many, it became a moment of recognition that Allah sends signs ahead of His provision, just as He has always done. So when you see an insect in your home, whether it's an ant crawling towards your prayer mat, a spider weaving a sudden web near your window, or a moth tracing patterns in the night, ask yourself, is this a coincidence? Or am I among the few who notice Allah's subtle reminders? Allah's signs don't just exist in the Quran. They are happening right now, in your city, in your home. Have you ever connected an insect's behavior to a life event? Comment your experience. Your story might be more spiritual than you think. Symbolism and meanings. In the Quran and in the world around us, every insect has a meaning. Allah's signs are not random. They are deliberate, personal, and often perfectly timed for what your heart needs to learn. The ant. Persistence and preparation. The ant in Surah An-Naml is a master of foresight. It stores food in summer, preparing for the unseen winter. Spiritually, ants remind us to prepare our souls for what we cannot yet see, the day when we stand before Allah. Sufi perspective. The ant is the seeker who never stops gathering knowledge, even if it's one crumb at a time. If ants appear in your home persistently, ask, what am I neglecting to prepare for? 2. The bee, healing and divine guidance. Surah An-Nahl calls bees inspired by Allah and their honey a healing for mankind. Bees are symbols of productivity, purity, and service to the community. Real story. In 2024, a revert Muslim in the UK noticed a single bee landing on his Qur'an every day during Ramadan. At first, he brushed it off, but later he learned the bee's deep link to divine guidance in the Qur'an. It transformed how he saw his spiritual journey. Sufi perspective. The bee gathers nectar, but produces sweetness for others. A lesson in living for more than yourself. 3. The spider. Fragility of false reliance. Surah Al-Ankabut warns us. The spider's web is beautiful, yet weak, teaching us that placing trust in anything besides Allah will collapse under trial. If a spider weaves a web in your path, it may be a reminder to examine what you're leaning on, wealth, relationships, or status, and see if your foundation is truly strong. 4. The moth. Attraction to light. Moths navigate by the moon and stars, but artificial light can lead them astray. Spiritually, they represent the soul's pull toward divine light, but also the danger of chasing false lights. If you keep finding moths in your home, it may be a call to seek the true nur, light of guidance rather than the flicker of worldly distractions. Sufi perspective. The moth's dance around the flame is the lover's longing for the beloved, a willingness to give everything for the light of truth. 5. The fly. Reminder of impurity. Flies are often drawn to decay and filth. Their presence may be a nudge to purify, not only your space, but also your heart. The Prophet even referenced the fly in hadith, teaching that even in creatures we consider unclean, Allah has placed balance, disease in one wing, cure in the other. Flies can remind us that neglect in small matters can invite bigger spiritual decay. These meanings are not superstition. They are reflections drawn from the Qur'an, from prophetic teachings, and from the deep meditations of scholars and seekers through centuries. When an insect crosses your path, it could be part of your story, a sign tailor-made for your soul's journey. Don't just see an insect, see a message tailor-made for your soul's journey. Which insect meaning surprised you the most? Tell us below. How to recognize and respond to the signs. Recognizing a sign from Allah is not about superstition. It's about awareness. If an insect appears in your home in a way that feels unusual or persistent, here's how to approach it with spiritual intelligence. Step 1. Observe. Don't just glance and forget. Note which insect it is, how often it appears, and where. Does it come at a specific time of day? Always in the same place? In moments of worship or distress? These details matter. Step 2. Reflect. Ask yourself, what is happening in my life right now? Am I facing a challenge? Waiting for an answer to dua? Experiencing a major change? Sometimes, the presence of a creature is perfectly aligned with an inner state you are ignoring. Step 3. Research. Look into Quranic verses, hadith, and scholarly writings about that insect. For example, bees are linked to healing and divine inspiration, Surah An-Nahl. Ants to preparation, Surah An-Naml. Spiders to weak foundations, Surah Al-Ankabut. Seek the wisdom that has been preserved for centuries. Step 4. Respond. Once you've reflected and researched, act. If the insect's meaning points toward a need for purification, clean your space and heart. If it suggests preparation, begin storing resources, making plans, or increasing acts of worship. If it hints at blessings, respond with gratitude, sadaqah, or extra dua. Ahmed, a man in Cairo, noticed ants gathering near his prayer mat every Fajr. At first, he removed them, thinking they were a nuisance. But after a week, he grew curious. He looked into Surah An-Naml and read about the ants' wisdom and preparation. Ahmed realized he had been delaying giving charity, waiting for a better time. He took the ants as a sign to act now, and that very week, his small business received a large order that kept him afloat for months. He says, "I believe Allah sent them to push me toward generosity before my opportunity passed. Signs are only useful if they lead to action. Allah sends reminders, but it's on us to respond. If you see a pattern, don't ignore it, act on it." What action would you take if you felt an insect was a divine sign? Share your thoughts. Powerful closing call to action. We began this journey with a simple idea, that the insects in your home might not be random. From the wisdom of the ant in Surah An-Naml, to the healing gift of the bee in Surah An-Nahl, to the warning of the spider in Surah Al-Ankabut. The Qur'an has always told us, Allah's signs are everywhere, for those who reflect. These creatures are not just part of nature, they are part of revelation. They have been mentioned in the same book that guides our prayers, shapes our morals, and carries us toward the hereafter. When you see an ant carrying food across your carpet, or a bee that lands silently near your window, or a moth drawn to a single light in your room, remember, it might be more than it appears. It might be a reminder, a silent ayah sent only for you. Too often, we brush these moments aside. We live fast, distracted lives, and in doing so, we risk missing the whispers of guidance all around us. Don't be like the 97% who ignore these signs. Be among the few who see, who pause, who remember Allah in the smallest of things. Whether the sign comes before a blessing, like the bees in Pakistan before the arrival of food, or before a life change, like the moths in Turkey before the Yilmaz family's breakthrough, or as a call to self-correction, like the ants that led Ahmed in Egypt to charity. These are gifts, not accidents. So here's what you must do. Notice what Allah is showing you. Reflect on its meaning in light of the Qur'an and Sunnah. Respond with gratitude, repentance, or action, and then share it. Because what opens your eyes today might open someone else's tomorrow. The next insect you see could be a silent ayah from Allah. Will you notice it, or will you miss it like the 97%? The next insect you see could be a silent ayah from Allah. Will you notice it, or will you miss it like the 97%? If this video opened your eyes, write, "I see the signs," in the comments. And let's start a discussion. If this video was helpful to you, please share it with your loved ones and leave a comment to tell me what you learned. Your support helps a lot to spread the message and grow this community. Barakallahu fikum.